Hi, it's Tony with lidl.doodle. I am here today to share the disaster of my ink cataloging and swatching system that is just not working. So first, when we started collecting bottles of ink, we grabbed these cola rings and swatched all of our samples, organized them by color, and then we came to the last one. So, thinking that this was going to be the best option for us, we grabbed another one, and this time I did the little stamps. Some of the inks I repeated. Do not ask me why. So we had two almost full, I've got some left back here, cola rings that every time we got a new pen or wanted to swap inks, we'd have to, go through all of these to see which one we wanted, and we couldn't look at them all and compare the colors. So then I decided, well, I'm going to catalog all of our inks in a notebook. So this is actually the second one I have. The first one was 2020, the end of 2022, 23, and this was 2024. So I started swatching by color, and that was fine, except that when I would swatch the browns, and then switch to green, well, then if I got another brown, I couldn't keep it with the browns. Not the end of the world, but kind of annoying. So swatching all of our colors, and then for some reason, I decided back here to swatch all of our samples in the middle of all of this. It's somewhere in here. I'll come across it. So then you can see where these are just random colors because these were new inks as we went along. Again, not organized by color. Again, not the end of the world, but kind of annoying. Oh, here's the samples. So you can see that I took all of our little samples and made these little tiny, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here, made all these little tiny entries right in the middle of the main ink colors. So, and again, there's some more new inks. This was me just going through all of our Birmingham, more new inks. Oh, and then this makes sense to have my ink vent of 2023 at the end, right? This is just making absolutely no sense. So I have the ink vent from last year right here. And then there's just a random new ink. The last part of this is fine. I do this in all of my notebooks. So there's a lot of pages here where it's just pen test pages. So my husband will hand me one of his pens and go, ooh, check this out. So I will write his stuff, or I'll just go through what is in here if I want to test out an ink. So this is fine. I do this in all of my notebooks, and then at the end, when it's full, it actually kind of looks cool. I always have ink test pages or pen test pages. I have my students do that as part of their sketchbook setup because I just think it's important to have, places where you can just see what is the ink going to do in this notebook. But I'm kind of annoyed at how I have this all set up. It's just not functional for finding good inks. And I just want to be swatching inks a little bit more than just cataloging. I'm finding that the activity of just making pretty ink pages in my journals is quite therapeutic. So the next notebook I have is not a cataloging of our inks, but a cataloging of the inks that I have in pens. So this was back in January. I cataloged all of the inks that I had in my pens at that time. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to add other things to this book. So I did a little page for my TWSBI with the glue on in it. And then I did, this was my, last pen of 2023, favorite inks of 2024. So just kind of an a little bit all over the place. This was these were my favorite ink mint. this was like my perfect pairings, the first pen I got in 2024. This is the worst ink page. If you have Noodler's House Divided, tell me if you like it, because I hate it. I think it's awful. I don't mind the color of the brown, but I don't know, it's just gross, and it smudges. It was 3 days later, and I still smudged it after this was drying. So anyway, this is just kind of my catch-all notebook, but again, it's not organized. It doesn't make any sense. I've got like, oh, new pen day, and oh, here's some stamps I'm trying out. And then I've got updated inked. So this is what was currently inked as of June. And there's my Birmingham Pen Co. from that video. So again, it's just not making any sense of how I'm organizing any of this. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to start, and there's my ink and pen test pages. I'm going to start a new ink journal. And so I had got this at the San Francisco Pen Show. It said, oh yes, it's fountain pen friendly. It's from Papermind. I really like how it opens up and sits nicely. So last night I busted it open and was like, I'm going to do some ink stuff. And I started this. I always like to do a cover page. I made this, and then I just grabbed our Wearing Goal inks because we just have 7 of them, and I just spent, you know, some time playing around with that. And I was like, okay, you know, this paper handles the ink pretty well. I've got some, you know, heavier spots of ink, and I was using my dip pen, which I shared this on my San Francisco pen haul, but I'm actually looking for more reasons to use this, because this holder has been a game changer for me, and I absolutely love this nib holder, and I'm really starting to get better with my Kakimura nib. So that's a plus. And one of the reasons why I want to be doing more journaling with the inks and just playing around. Well, so then I had started in September, 30 days, 30 inks, calendar in, let's see, this guy. And so since I was transferring to this journal, I was like, oh, I'll just copy over because it's still early. And so this is where this notebook fell apart. I started in, and the feathering, especially with that Robert Oster Free Spirit, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. This cannot be my ink journal if it's going to feather like that. And I was like, well, it worked okay on here, but I don't want to have inconsistencies. And if it had just been one of these that feathered, I would have been like, okay, it's the ink. But there are 4 here that they really feathered pretty badly. So I'm done with this. So I'm going to tear these out, and I'm going to use this notebook for something else. It's a lovely notebook. It's just not going to serve my purpose as my ink journal. So I went through my notebooks. I was like, okay, what else do I have that I can use? And I completely forgot that I had this Hobonichi. And so I am going to start yet another ink journal, but this has Tomoe River paper. Let's see, I wrote it down. I think it's 52 GSM, sorry. Oh, there's the pen test right there. Yeah, 52 GSM. And I'm going to just kind of replicate what I did last night and start in here. So I will share an update if there's anything worth updating about that once I get that going. And then as far as our cataloging goes, because these kohl rings just aren't cutting it, and my cataloging notebook is not cutting it, I'm going to do 2 things. So I have this, and I started a while back just kind of as a fun little project. I started cataloging like, oh, here's all of our shimmer inks. And then I switched to, here's our Sailor inks. So I got, or Sailor Mano inks. So I got started on that. And then here's our Pilot inks. Got started on that. So these are going to be categorized by anything but color. So whether it's brand or it's shimmer or it's sheen or it's shading, or it's like, maybe I'll do like my wildest inks or something in here. And it doesn't have a ton of pages, but I think it'll have enough that I can just kind of play around with it. And that way I'm like, oh, I want a shimmer ink. I've got a section for that. So as far as organizing by color, I picked up these Wearingeul cards. That are super easy to swatch. They have a pre-printed little ink bottle on them. And Wearingeul also has this little album or folder. I think it has like 100 spots or something like that. So I started this last night as well. So I'm going to catalog our inks by color. And here's the nice thing. I get a new color, or I get a new brown. I just move a couple of cards around. So it's not like, oh, I've got, 10 pages down with new brown inks. So I just started this. It's going to be a process, but I'm excited just to have a better system of organizing my inks, because it kind of drives me crazy that all of my notebooks have been such a mess. And now that, we are pretty deep in this hobby and have quite a collection of inks, over the last 10 years that we've been collecting them, I just need a better system, because I don't want to forget some of the inks that I have and that I enjoy. So that is where I'm at right now. If you have thoughts about ink journals or have suggestions for things that I can do in my Hobonichi for fun, this will be, again, cataloging my currently inked pens, but also doing some of the fun therapeutic things that I like to do with ink swatching. So thanks for watching. Any questions, put them down below. We'll try to answer them, and have a great day. Thanks.